Hello, my friend, and welcome to Hello Main Street. I am your host, Monica Sanchez, where we are talking about thought provoking tips, tricks, and ideas for fellow entrepreneurs just like you. So, today, my topic that I wanted to discuss was, or is, excuse me, home ownership. Should you rent? Should you buy? There's always this myth, right? People always talk about the American dream and having a picket fence and a house and all of that. But that may not always fit our lifestyles, especially as prices go up, interest rates go up, people are traveling more often as they relocate from place to place. So I found myself this week researching for three people looking to buy or rent a place, right? And that really got me to thinking about what is best for going about buying a home if one, you've never done that, or two, you may have done it a long time ago. You're reconsidering it. And so I wanted to do a little bit of a breakdown, a little bit of a deeper dive about that. So let's talk about considerations. What would you want to consider when you're buying a home? Now, usually your assets are your savings, income is stability, and then you have debt, right? So, again, talking about our financial situation, we want to know where we're at. You're going to have that debt to income ratio and figuring out, would you want to buy a home? Or is the home that you're considering going to be more than what you can afford? Do you want to live for a mortgage payment? Or do you want to have more flexibility and freedom to be able to travel or to save for retirement or whatever your future goals are, right? So that's one thing to consider. And then also, what is your long-term goal? How long are you planning to stay in that area? Especially if you're going to school, right? Is it going to be just 2 years, 3 years? And then from there, you're going to move on to going back to where you originally lived, or maybe you rent for a year and then you decide, you know what, I really love this town. I love to stay here. I really want to plant some roots here. Then those are things to consider for that long-term goal. They say a good investment oftentimes can be as long as you live there 5+ years. That's always a good kind of a rule of thumb, right, to consider. And then what is the conditions of the market? What is going on in your area? I know as you go into the city, right, you are going to probably pay more for living there, and then you might buy a smaller location. And is that okay for you? Or, do you need a house with a yard? So again, those are things to consider. And is right now a good time to buy? Or do you want to wait a little longer till like interest rates come down? And if you do wait a little longer for interest rates to come down, usually a good rule of thumb, they also say also for refinancing, is at least 2%. So keep that in mind. If you can lower your interest rate that much, then that is a good time to always refi or to purchase a home also as well. Okay. But I wouldn't wait if you are like, I'm ready to buy a home now. Let's go ahead and do it. Because eventually, right, just like as the pendulum swings back and forth, the interest rates will go down over time, maybe just not right now. But I do remember back in the 80s when interest rates were 15%. So we're kind of in the middle right now, right? And then what is your lifestyle? Do you need that flexibility as I talked about? Or do you need to travel more often? I have a gentleman who I was just recently speaking with, and he's a single person, has a busy lifestyle. He would like to buy a home, but he just doesn't want the maintenance of a home, right? So maybe somewhere in between would work for him, but you have to figure your lifestyle. You don't want to buy a home and then like say, oh, I'm going to buy a home with all of this land. And then you have to work the land, which is like depleting yourself. And you're like, okay, I thought the whole point of me doing this was to free myself up. And yet you just burden yourself with extra work, right? Or if you can hire somebody to take care of that work for you, then that's another option as well. So what about mortgages? So you always want to do the income to debt ratio. And if you don't know how to do that, that's something that a mortgage person can help you with. They're going to take a look at what are some of your outstanding bills. And that kind of brings us back to that budget piece, right? Are there a couple of bills that you could pay off that is going to, one, improve your credit score, and then two, is going to actually help you with your debt to income ratio, which will also in turn help you right with your getting a better rate for your interest rate. And then how much do you want to put down? So somebody who is a veteran, they have their own loans where they don't have to put any money down, which is amazing. And I think it's a great, wonderful gift. And they don't have to pay that mortgage interest payment as well. So if you are a veteran, I highly recommend that you take advantage of that. The nice thing is you can purchase up to a certain amount, and I believe it's up to 500,000. It could be more. I haven't checked, so I apologize for that. But then what happens is I had a gentleman who he did use his veteran loan, and this was many, many years ago. He thought he could only use it one time in his lifetime, but that's not the case. So if you are a veteran, you can use it one time up to the max amount, right? And then if you decide, you know what, I'm ready to move on, then when you sell that home and you go to buy another one, then you can reuse your loan. So it is for your lifetime that you can continue to reuse that. So use that to your own advantage. And then we want to take a look at what is your monthly budget, right? They often say that you should have your home budget to like 30% of what you have, and then everything else you have to take in consideration. Again, there was time many moons ago when we had purchased a home, not just me, but we had purchased a home, and it was like we were just living to pay a mortgage payment, and that was just no fun at all. Very stressful. Didn't have extra money in our pocket to do what we wanted to do. And then when we had the opportunity to consider it something differently, then that's when we turned things around and said, we want to buy something that's going to suit our needs and then give us that flexibility and freedom to travel and then put more money away for our retirement. So we kind of changed things up as we moved along in our lifestyles. And then you have to also consider what are the upfront costs, right? So yes, there's the down payment that you're going to have to pay if you're going to do just the regular type of loan. Now it's kind of turning into more of a buyer's market versus a seller's market. And what does that mean? So that means that the market is still kind of hot. They may still have multiple offers, but some homes are now sitting a little longer on the market, which turns it into a buyer's market. So the buyer can say, hey, I'm willing to come and buy your home if you help me with my closing costs, right? If you help me with a down payment, things like that. So that's where the buyer has a little bit more of an advantage to go ahead and have some negotiation, a little bit of wiggle room, versus when it's a seller's market, they don't have to negotiate anything and they can take the highest bidder. As we saw with the last seller's market when it was really hot, was, people were paying, 10,000, even 20,000 over the asking price, possibly even more. So it's kind of, again, the pendulum is swinging on that part, right? But that's kind of good for the people who are buying. And so also when you have your ongoing costs, when you have to put into your budget, keeping in mind your mortgage payment, your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance, and the maintenance. So those are 4 things to consider, that whenever you own a home, those are things that are going to be ongoing until you, one, pay off the home, right? And then you only have the other 3 things that you need to consider, and keep it in mind when you are building your own budget. Now, if you're considering something like, hey, I am thinking of that, I want to do a condo or a co-op, that's fine, whatever suits your needs. But keep in mind, that you may have the HOA fees, may have additional utility costs, things like that that you weren't anticipating to put into the budget. So take a look at all of those factors before you sign an agreement to have that mortgage. And don't get yourself stuck if that was like, I didn't even think of that, and now I'm upside down and I'm just living to pay that mortgage, right? That's no fun. So what are the benefits and the risks of refinancing your mortgage? Well, there's several different things. One, when you have a home, you can always get a lower interest rate over time, right? So as the rates come down, as I mentioned, that is going to be helpful to you. If you want to pay your home off sooner, right? We talk about compound interest when we are talking about our financial empowerment. And they always talk about the 17 years is when it compounds. So a good thing you can do, if you can do it, right, is pay down your home within that 15-year mortgage. There are those, there's 30 years, there's 15 years. And so you're basically doubling your payment to pay it down. And then also paying less interest over that time frame. So if you can do that, that's something that I recommend. But the choice is up to you to make the decision that is best for you. The nice thing about having a home is you can also do a cash out refinance. So that means that you can get money out. Maybe you need to pay off a couple of credit cards, and then you can roll that into your mortgage. I wouldn't use it as a piggy bank every time, but if you need it from time to time, that is something that you consider. Or a home equity line of credit. Maybe you need to buy new windows, or for like myself, pretty soon I need to replace the roof on my home. Those can be costly factors, right? But if I can get a home equity line of credit, it's called a HELOC, then I can go ahead, I can use the money that is the equity that is in my home, and then I can go ahead and I can pay it off a lump sum and then pay that back. So it's a way that I can leverage the home without having to leverage the money that's in my current pocket right now. So those are some things that you want to consider. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is we've talked about again in the financial empowerment is your credit, right? So your credit score. So you are making timely payments. That's going to help to improve your credit score over time as well, right? And so that is going to also, when you're ready to do that refinance, that will help you as well to go ahead and get that lower interest rate. And not just for your home, but maybe for things that are in the future, right? So you're building that credit history. Good for you. Make the mortgage payments on time, which will benefit you in the long run for that. So that is what I have for you today. Again, if you are wanting more information or you wanting to talk to me about, the financial empowerment, we have the courses still. We'll be doing it online. And then pretty soon we're going to have another one that's going to be in person starting in September. And then if you want the career coaching, it's down right here as well. Something we can help you with. Would love to talk to you further. And you're like, you know what? How do I connect with you, or how do I become a guest on your show? You can connect with me here on my LinkedIn, Monica Sanchez B2B. Would love to have you on the show, talk to you more, help to share those resources. And again, thank you so much for your time. As you know, we are always better together, and I love sharing knowledge and information with you. Thank you and have a great day.